in this situation, this whole oil change costs less than 25 bucks from Walmart. Just a little bit of information for you guys. Do with it whatever you want. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Instead of upgrading a vehicle or putting on some kind of performance part, we're going to be doing very boring but important maintenance on the car. So what I have here is a 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and this has the 3.6 liter V6, and we're going to be doing the oil change on it today. Now for this oil change, as always, before you start doing anything on your car, make sure that you have the parts that you need and the tools you need, so you don't get halfway through and end up, you know, needing to make a run to the store and you don't have a vehicle to drive. So make sure you have everything. What you're going to need is oil. This car takes 0-20, which I have here. It takes just under 6 quarts, which funnily enough is more than one of these jugs, but way less than 2, but whatever. It also takes one of these cartridge type filters, which I'll show you guys how to get to. And then other things you'll need is a 15/16 socket on a wobble extension. Fun fact, if you guys didn't know, a wobble extension wobbles, but if you press it down, it becomes like a stiff or a rigid extension. So I don't know if anybody knows that, but if you don't, now you do. And then of course we need a 13 mil socket and ratchet to drop the oil. So the first step we're going to do is we're going to get under the car and we're going to pull the drain plug, let the oil drain, and then we'll come back up here and we're going to focus on getting to the oil filter, which is in here. Now coming under the car, if you're looking for the drain plug, it is going to be way up front over here, right after this cross member right here. And if you ever have a question, or if you're ever kind of lost trying to figure out where the plug is, what I typically do is just to verify, because on 4-wheel drive cars it can get kind of a little confusing, but this here is your transmission, right? So this is like the bell housing, so you know that the oil pan has to be ahead of that. So if you move ahead, here's the pan, and then I usually just verify the pan is indeed attached to the engine. Now you may say, well, that's silly, why would you ever want to do that? Well, if you, depending on cars, if you're in a hurry, you can easily confuse, you know, plugs. I've seen people confuse plugs on the rear end, as well as transmission and transfer case plugs. But like here's like your transmission pan, and then there's your transfer case plug back there. And if you're not careful or not paying attention, or you're not, you know, it's maybe your first or second time doing it, you know, it's very easy to drop oil from something other than your engine, and then next thing you know, you burn up a transfer case or a transmission or something crazy because you're not paying attention. So just take your time. So I'm going to get under here. I'm going to drop the oil here. Obviously I have my pan here. Take the oil out, and then while that's draining, of course, go back up. While that oil drains, we're going to come back up to the top here, and you are going to remove this cover here. And if you look inside, right there, you have a plastic cover with a nut on top. You're going to take your extension and you are going to position it down there, make sure it seats, and this is why I need the wobble extension. Now you can make this a lot easier by taking this, you know, cover off and then the intake, but I do it like this, and you can get away with doing it this way. So then now I'll loosen it up and I'll pull it out, and then I'll show you guys the O-rings that need to be changed, and of course the cartridge removal. I've loosened this up enough where I can get in there with my hand. Basically what I do is I unscrew it, and what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to pull up and tilt outwards and come around this guy here. So do it as such, you got to do it pretty quick, otherwise you're going to get oil all over the place. So you got the cap here. Inside, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's the cartridge filter. Just reach in there, pop it out, and then bring it right back over here. Make sure you have a bag or something to lay the stuff down on. And two very important things to note here is you're going to have two new O-rings that come with your new filter. The first O-ring is going to be this one down here. Always make sure you have that. This is very, very important. So when you remove the old one, make sure it's there. When you put the new one in, make sure it's there. And we're also going to just put a little bit of oil on the new one to make sure that it's lubricated. And then the other O-ring, which is typically not, well, not typically, it's not on because obviously they don't have one of these in the package, but this O-ring right here, you can see that O-ring is going to have to be removed and put the next one on there. And if you look, you got two grooves here. Make sure that the O-rings is on the top groove and not all the way up towards this hat here. So I'm going to go ahead and remove it, put a new one on, and drop this back in. Now if you're struggling to get this O-ring off, the easiest thing you can find or you can use to get this off is a pick tool. And what I usually do is I just get under it like this, pull it down. See if I can do this with one hand. Pull it down, and it comes off like so. And you take the new one out of the package, put it on, and seat it on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll load the new cartridge. One thing to also note is make sure that there's no damage inside of this cap. You should have this little assembly here, this plastic assembly that essentially goes inside of there. If that's broken or it comes apart, get a new cap, because that does play a role on filtration of the oil. So I'm going to go ahead and put this together really quick and then show you guys how to reinsert it. So when you are looking from above, this is what it looks like. Sorry, trying to get some light down there for you guys. This is what it looks like where the filter goes. Basically sneak the filter down, drop it in, and I usually position it, make sure it's seated. You'll hear a click and it shouldn't be able to come out. Should be square in there. And now I'm going to come back over it with this cap, put it on, thread it, and then we're done up here. Now I got the bottom plug is completely tightened down, and I have the cut. Now I got the bottom drain plug completely tightened. The pan is out from underneath the car. From here on out is probably more important part of the job rather than the earlier. But addition of oil, again, take a look online what your vehicle takes. Basic same concept for all cars, but specifically for this one, it states 5.9 quarts. So I'm going to go ahead and add right around 6. Doesn't hurt to have just slight more. We're going to check it using that dipstick over there to make sure that we have enough. And then after that, we have to reset the oil life. One thing to note, if your engine bay is absolutely filthy like mine, before you remove the oil cap, just clean around there. That way you're not opening up the oil cap and you have dirt going in. Throw a funnel in, time to pour the oil in, and I guess check the level, and we're almost done. All right, so once you've added your oil, usually I'll put in what I think is about, you know, in this case 5.9, whatever, 6 quarts. I'll add it in. Because I didn't, or there's different theories on this, but in a typical oil filter, you usually fill it up. That way, I don't know, there's an argument that that's the right way of doing it. Obviously, in this situation for the cartridge oil filter, can't quite do that. So you know that once you put oil in there, once it recirculates, the level is going to go down a little bit. So I started the car for like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And then I came back over here and checked the oil. It wasn't enough. Had to add a little bit more, but ultimately you want to do that once or twice on a level surface. But this is kind of what it looks like. It's the same process, but you come over here, grab the, make sure it's fully seated, grab the oil dipstick, and you're looking for the oil to be within that crosshatch there, and you can see it's right at the middle. Now if you haven't, like for example, if you haven't started your car and the oil is at the middle of the crosshatch, so this is like your whole crosshatch section between these two holes, you can see this hole's filled with oil. The oil level is about halfway, and then you don't want to go, you know, above the max. If you fill it up, you might lose a little bit of oil because obviously the oil is now circulated through the filter, wetted it, the whole 9 yards. In this situation, after I've done that, I'm at half, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'll go ahead and leave it at this point, and I'll just periodically check it. Now, one thing to note is you'll have cars, I think this is one of them, where they'll say, okay, you know, it's oil change every 5,000 or 10,000 miles. You know, you can do whatever you want with your car, but I don't recommend that. It's a very, very cheap thing to do yourself if you're going to be doing it every 3,000 miles, which is what I recommend. In this situation, this whole oil change costs less than 25 bucks from Walmart, and it's, you know, full synthetic oil. It says it's 10,000 mile oil. I never, you know, maybe I'll go 4,000 miles, but usually I try to change it at 3,000. So just a little bit of information for you guys. Do with it whatever you want. At this point in time, we're almost completed. We're going to go into the car and we're going to reset the little oil reminder thing, and I'll show you guys how to do that. Okay, so to do your oil reset on your in this case 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee, you are going to get in the car, make sure you have your keys on you. Going to press the accessory or the engine start twice to get it to the run position. You're going to look on the dash using these buttons, up and down, left and right. You're going to use the up and down button, and you're going to go down to vehicle info, and that is right there. You're going to use the left and right button, and you are going to find the oil life, and to reset it, it says hold OK to reset. You're basically going to press and hold, and you are back to 100%. Once that's done, turn the car off and you are finished.